In the United States, authorities report the first economic contraction in 3 years as a result of President Trump's tariff policy. India announced the closure of its airspace to all aircraft registered, operated, or leased by Pakistan. And Russia and North Korea began constructing their first ever road bridge on the Tumen River. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The United States reported its first economic contraction in 3 years as a result of President Donald Trump's tariff policy. The Commerce Department released the data in its report on Wednesday, previewing the drop in gross domestic product that caused consumer business activity to slow sharply. The report reinforced U.S. citizens' growing disapproval of Trump's mishandling of the economy as he reached 100 days in office. The economic contraction was swamped by increased imports as businesses competed to avoid higher costs from the tariff war. As a result, consumer confidence is near a 5-year low and business activity has slowed. And U.S. President Donald Trump blamed the Joe Biden administration Wednesday after a new report showed the first decline in U.S. economy in 3 years. The statement was made during a cabinet meeting where the Republican president said this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. The country will bloom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while. It has nothing to do with tariffs and only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. And several voices are raising in the political sphere against Donald Trump's administration as the head of state marks 100 days into his second mandate. In this scenario, Democratic governor for the state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, delivered a keynote speech at a Democratic fundraiser in New Hampshire on Sunday, criticizing both Republicans and fellow Democrats. Pritzker urged citizens to pressure congressional Republicans to oppose Trump's agenda and highlighted how the president's policies affect his state. In addition, the governor defended the positive role of migrants in the enrichment of U.S. society and its economy. In this context, the governor called for mass mobilization against what he qualified as a destructive administration.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
In other topics, in Brazil, as a youth from the Capinawa indigenous nation was surfing the internet, he discovered that someone was trying to auction off their land. A correspondent Bramir with the details.
In the Catimbau Valley in rural Pernambuco, the Capinawa indigenous nation has scored a legal victory as public prosecutors ordered a local court to block the auction of 126 hectares of land located partially inside its reserve and partially in traditional lands currently under review to be turned over to the nation, which has been living in the area since the 1700s.
There was no public hearing. We were taken by surprise. One of us was messing around on the internet and suddenly found out that there were 126 hectares of our land belonging to the Capinawa that was about to sold by auction, with the date already set only a few weeks off. So we started fighting it.
Part of the Catimbau Valley region was turned into a national park in 2002, and growing interest in tourism in the area has led to real estate speculation. Furthermore, capitalizing on favorable weather conditions and government subsidies for renewable energy, private wind turbine companies have been moving into the area, often pressuring poor farmers with low literacy rates into accepting predatory land lease contracts.
A gente teve uma reunião com a empresa dessas empresas renováveis dessas torres eólicas.
We had a meeting with a wind turbine company, and we didn't accept their offer. We explained that we didn't want them building on our land, we didn't want this project here. Then, 8 or 9 days after they left, we found out about this auction.
Aí com 8, 9 dias que ele tinha ido embora, apareceu esse leilão.
As the Kapinawa fight for their right to expand their reserve to incorporate all of their traditional villages in the area, they're also fighting predatory real estate speculators as they try to encroach onto their land, a familiar problem for indigenous peoples across the Americas. Brian Mir, teleSUR, Pernambuco.
We now have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
Millones se forjan nuevos caminos con la esperanza de un futuro mejor. Cruzan líneas imaginarias hacia lo desconocido. Conozcamos las historias de quienes viven entre fronteras. Todos los jueves, solo por teleSUR.
Welcome back. Venezuelans commemorated Wednesday the comprehensive actions led by the Civic Military Police Union, which followed the coup attempt of April 30th, 2019. At the event, the United Socialist Party of Venezuela's Secretary General, Diosdado Cabello, highlighted that on April 30th, 2019, the people proved their patriotism by having defended heroically the revolution. Cabello recalled that they faced that day the same far-right groups which have attacked the government many times. The leader further noted that the opposition received on April 30th the help of some senior officials who committed treason. Likewise, the Secretary General praised the commitment of not only the Bolivarian National Armed Forces and Police Corps, but also the people, stressing that the three forces united bravely in defense of the revolution. And the government of Venezuela congratulates Trinidad and Tobago after its election day last April 28th, where the leader of the Congress of National Unity, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, was elected as the next prime minister of the nation. The Bolivarian government congratulated Persad-Bissessar for her triumph and highlighted that during her last mandate, both nations consolidated solid ties of cooperation and understanding based on mutual respect and common interests in the welfare of both peoples. In this sense, the statement stressed that Venezuela reiterates its commitment to the continuity of joint projects, especially in the area of energy security, ensuring a reliable gas supply for Trinidad and Tobago, which will contribute to the sustained development of the country and the entire Caribbean region. And the government of Nicaragua issued a statement to congratulate the Prime Minister-elect of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, winner of the general elections held on April 28th. The communique begins by stating that, on behalf of the people and the government of reconciliation and national unity of the Republic of Nicaragua, we convey to you our congratulations on the victory of the United National Congress in the general elections held on April 28th. Furthermore, the text emphasizes that we take this opportunity to reiterate our commitment to continue deepening the bonds of Caribbean brotherhood, mutual respect and solidarity that unite us, and we look forward to working with your government in the strengthening of relations of friendship and cooperation between our nations in favor of peace, well-being, development, prosperity for our peoples. The communique concludes by noting that from our blessed and always free Nicaragua, please accept our fraternal embrace, best wishes for success and health, as well as the affection of the Nicaraguan people. Construction workers and the teachers union in Panama have completed Wednesday a week of protest in rejection of Law 462, which reforms the Social Security Fund. The organizations claim they have paralyzed 95% of the works, describing the strike as unsuccessful. On the other hand, demonstrations in Panama City and other states of the country will continue on May 1st, on the occasion of commemoration of Workers' Days.
Today is the 30th. The construction workers, despite the persecution, the hijacking of funds, the police, the pressure to blackmail the state contractors, to call to pay the bills, to call the workers to work. These private projects want to force the workers to work, but the strike is going. It's a success. 95% of the works are stopped and will remain stopped. Tomorrow, May 1st, all the construction workers will go to Porras Park at 8 a.m. Next Monday, we will convene the General Assembly of Suntrax.
Argentina's workers and retirees unions marched against the cuts and reforms implemented by the government of Javier Milei. The General Confederation of Labor leads the march on the eve of Workers' Day, which on this occasion not only seeks to commemorate the historic struggle, but also to speak out against the regressive reforms in labor matters by the national government, in addition to rejecting the new debts contracted with the International Monetary Fund. This mobilization was joined by the usual march of the retirees to demand an end to the repression of the social protest that only demands answers from the government in the face of the social crisis. On Wednesday, India closed its airspace to all aircraft registered, operated, or leased by Pakistan, including commercial airlines and military flights. The measure comes into effect on April 30th and runs until May 23rd. Relations between the two Asian powers have been strained following the Pahalgam terrorist attack, in which 26 people were killed, which New Delhi has linked to Pakistani involvement. Islamabad authorities have denied the accusation, for which India has yet to present any evidence. And Chinese President Xi Jinping called Wednesday to adapt to changing situations, to grasp strategic priorities, and to make sound plans for the country's economic and social development in the 2026-2030 period. The remarks came as China revs up efforts to fulfill the targets set in the 14th five-year plan, 2021-2025, in the final year of its implementation, and to formulate the next five-year plan. The head of state also stressed the need to implement measures to stabilize employment and support developing sectors, and outlined the strategies to meet national modernization goals. And also on Wednesday, a massive fire erupted in Georgia's capital, Tbilisi, near a railway station market. Emergency services reported that the blaze spread across 15,000 square meters and that some 150 firefighters were needed to extinguish the flames that started in product warehouses. All hospitals located near the railway station were evacuated, including a cardiology center that reported a risk of explosions at its oxygen storage facility. So far, no injuries or casualties have been reported. For its part, Georgia's Interior Ministry has launched an investigation to identify the cause of the incident. We now have our second and functional break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final break, we're going to be right back. Welcome back. Russia and North Korea have begun construction of their first ever road bridge on the Tumen River, which forms the natural border between the allied countries, designated as a symbol of their deepening partnership. Announcing the project on Wednesday, Russia's Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin said it would reduce transport costs, facilitate trade, and promote tourism. Mishustin stated during a video meeting with the chairman of North Korea's Supreme People's Assembly, Pak Tae-sung, that this is truly a milestone for Russian-Korean relations, adding that the significance goes far beyond just an engineering task. The Russian Prime Minister also emphasized that the bridge symbolizes their common desire to strengthen friendly, good neighborly relations and increase inter-regional cooperation. The bridge is expected to be ready by mid-2026. Iran condemned Wednesday the criminal actions of the Zionist regime of Israel against Palestine. Iran rejected the human catastrophe perpetrated by Israel in the Palestinian territory of Gaza and underlined that the International Court of Justice has once again faced a historic test. It also emphasized the lack of immediate access to humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people, in addition to a flagrant violation of international obligations of governments to prevent genocide. It should be noted that since the beginning of the Israeli aggression in Gaza, more than 52,400 Palestinians have been killed. Moreover, no humanitarian aid has entered Gaza since the beginning of March 2025 due to the blockade imposed by Israel. In Palestine, at least 23 people were killed and others were injured in a series of recent attacks carried out by Israeli occupation forces on the Gaza Strip. According to local media reports, a new aggression killed 2 girls in Jabalia al-Balad and a child and a pregnant woman in al-Sawara. In addition, 12 people were murdered in central Gaza when the occupation forces shelled 3 houses in the Nusayrat refugee camp. The genocidal campaign perpetrated by Israel in the Gaza Strip has already claimed the lives of over 32,400 people, most of them women and children, while thousands of bodies remain buried under the rubble. And the International Court of Justice began its 3rd day of hearings on Israel's humanitarian obligations to Palestinians 60 days after the complete siege of the entry of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. The 15-judge panel will hear from some 40 nations and organizations, including the League of Arab States, their non-binding advisory opinions on Israel's responsibility to ensure the provision of basic supplies to Gaza. The U.S. and Hungarian representatives have taken a pro-Israeli stance, and they are expected to declare Wednesday at the ICJ hearing. Earlier, South African diplomat Saint Danger stated that Tuesday that under the watchful eye of the world, Palestinians have been subjected to atrocity, crimes, persecution, apartheid, and genocide. On Wednesday, authorities reported a new power outage that affected more than 20,500 users in the Netherlands on the border with Germany. Spokesman for the security region reported that the power outage was caused by a short circuit during maintenance work on an electric power substation. Local authorities detailed that the explosion left at least 1 worker injured, who, according to the local network operator, was taken to a medical center. Authorities also added that the total number of customers affected exceeds 20,597 and that an investigation into the incident has been launched. And a large forest fire was reported in Israel between Jerusalem Forest and Tel Aviv. Rescue teams requested international assistance to contain the fire. During the day on Wednesday, the Defense Ministry deployed the army to evacuate residents near the blaze. Meanwhile, emergency teams and firefighters are working to stop the fire. According to the authorities, the flames spread due to the high temperatures and strong winds in the wooded area. And the Southern African Development Community began the withdrawal of its peacekeeping forces in the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congo through Rwanda. The military mission reported that the convoy will travel to Chato, northeastern Tanzania, before being repatriated to their countries of origin. They also estimate that the entire SADC military mission should be out by next May 30th. This measure comes after the M23 movement took control of Goma, the main city of the country, as well as Bukavu in these last 2 months. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.